Over the past 5 decades, Saturday Night Live has launched dozens of careers, but it also ended some thanks to these infamous moments you won't believe. Adrien Brody may still be acting, but it's safe to say he destroyed his career as an SNL host with a weird moment during a 2003 episode. When it came time for him to introduce musical guest Sean Paul, Brody appeared on camera wearing a dreadlocks wig, launching into an excruciating improvised 45 seconds in his best Jamaican accent. Brody has never been invited back to host. Andy Cohen later asked SNL cast member and writer Tina Fey on Watch What Happens Live who she thought had been the worst host ever, and
could never say anything about
best host.
Brody later told MoviePhone that while he'd heard rumors that he's banned forever, he'd love to host again and had a great time the first time around. Well, that makes one person anyway. On Halloween 1981, punk band Fear put in a seriously memorable Saturday Night Live performance, which turned into a wild brawl that spilled out of the studio and into the streets. The band was a favorite of former cast member John Belushi, who made a cameo in the episode in exchange for getting the band on the show.
Thought it was crazy that John Belushi was making them put on TV.
But the performance reportedly left SNL with an estimated $20,000 in damages. The band was officially banned from appearing again, and some clubs refused to book them. Fear frontman Lee Ving later told Rolling Stone, "They swore that night they'd never rebroadcast our footage. It was short-sighted of the Saturday Night Live staff and ownership to disinclude the performance in their anniversary episodes." When Saturday Night Live creator Lorne Michaels called you out as the biggest jerk who's ever been on the show and remembers you as the worst host ever, you know you've really failed spectacularly. Such was the case with actor Steven Seagal, who appeared as the host in an excruciating 1991 episode and was subsequently banned. Cast member David Spade reminisced of Seagal to Andy Cohen on Watch What Happens Live.
Andy was tough to work with. He was hard. He did not want to play along.
Norm Macdonald also told the New York Daily News that Seagal was just not a nice guy. And finally, Tim Meadows told the authors of Live from New York he would complain about jokes he didn't get. He just wasn't funny.
He kept saying, "I've never seen your show. I don't know what you do here." Like, really? You've never seen Saturday Night Live?
By the 2000s, Seagal's reputation had apparently caught up with him, as he ended up in mostly straight-to-video projects, and it's all been downhill from there. In 2013, Vice dubbed him the lamest guy ever, and in 2017 and 2018, he faced multiple allegations of sexual assault. In 2018, one of the biggest SNL controversies occurred when Kanye West went off the rails. After 2 bizarre performances, one of which had to be edited for YouTube because of raunchy material, West topped himself during a 3rd performance when he donned a Make America Great Again cap and began to spew a pro-Trump speech in the midst of the song. The performance was ultimately cut during the live broadcast due to time restraints, but the full clip made its rounds on the internet for all to see. As a result of that incident, plus others including threatening cast member Pete Davidson during his relationship with West's ex Kim Kardashian, many assumed that the rapper would be banned from appearing on the show in the future. But not so, not officially anyway. Well, not yet. When Milton Berle, aka Mr. Television, was invited to host the show in 1979, things reportedly got off to a bad start from the jump. According to Saturday Night, a backstage history of Saturday Night Live, Berle immediately assumed he was bigger and better than every person on set and off. One writer said, "He came in with the attitude, 'I am TV.' Not 'I used to be TV,' but 'I am TV.' Among his indiscretions, Berle berated the writing team and their intelligence, mugged for the cameras in a cheesy and over-the-top way, and even reportedly exposed himself in front of crew members. By the time he was on stage, even his performance couldn't quell the ick. He launched into a series of racist jokes and ultimately caused some audience members to leave when he started singing a cringeworthy rendition of September Song. What made it all worse is that Berle showed no remorse for his act in front of and behind the scenes, even assuring Lorne Michaels that his standing ovation was prearranged. As a result, Berle was banned from the program from that point on. In 2024, actor J.K. Simmons portrayed Uncle Milty in the film Saturday Night, putting the spotlight on his unsavory antics for a new generation. The performance by the rock band The Replacements became one of the most well-known blemishes on Saturday Night Live's legendary stage. In 1986, the band's record label took great pains to secure them a spot on SNL as a way to boost sales for their album, Tim. But the band didn't actually want to do promotion. After refusing to do music videos, they agreed to appear on live television instead, assuming the label would never be able to get them any gigs. Singer-guitarist Paul Westerberg recalled in the book Trouble Boys, "The compromise was that we'd do live TV if they could swing it, thinking that they couldn't. Me and my big mouth." So the band showed up drunk. The performance itself was messy, out of tune, and they stumbled on their words. Needless to say, they were banned from the program. The group eventually reunited on stage on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon in 2014, almost 3 decades after their last disastrous NBC performance. In 1990, comedian Andrew Dice Clay was a household name due to his questionable and misogynistic material. But Lorne Michaels still took a chance on having Clay as host. From the moment Clay entered Studio 8H, things were tense, as the SNL team knew that they needed to keep him on a short leash. Show writer Christine Zander told Vulture, "As writers, we went into work knowing that Dice wasn't going to do whatever he wanted. He was going to do what we wrote for him. Simple as that. To think that having him host would allow him to do his offensive stage character on the show was absurd." For the most part, Clay played the part, but the controversy surrounding his previous routines still stirred up some unrest. Both cast member Nora Dunn and musical guest Sinead O'Connor boycotted the show in protest of performing with him.
Behold. What is that? That is Nora Dunn.
There were even audience members who protested from their seats during his monologue, and the network initiated a 5-second delay throughout the broadcast in case of any other egregious slip-ups. While the episode earned the television juggernaut its highest ratings of that season, the negative impression it left on audiences and the show's history remained. Clay's career continued to decline from there, and his bravado routine didn't remain at the forefront much longer. Irish singer Sinead O'Connor caused a major stir in 1992 when her SNL performance evolved into a hugely controversial political statement. At the end of an a cappella rendition of Bob Marley's War, she ripped up a photo of Pope John Paul II and then said,
"Fight the real enemy."
SNL producer Lorne Michaels was left to deal with more than 4,000 angry phone calls to NBC, and O'Connor was subsequently banned from the show. Amidst the backlash, she spent the rest of the decade making music, though nothing became anywhere near as popular as the 1990 hit single, Nothing Compares to You. In 2003, she announced her retirement from music, though that proved to be short-lived. In 2010, O'Connor explained her beef with the Catholic Church, justifying her performance as a protest against priestly abuse. Writing in the Washington Post, she said, "I knew my action would cause trouble, but I wanted to force a conversation when there was a need for one. That is part of being an artist." We haven't heard too much from Ashlee Simpson lately, but back in 2004, she was still pretty relevant. But that all came crashing down on SNL. As Simpson started her second performance of the evening, the pre-recorded vocals for her first song, Pieces of Me, started playing. Panic-stricken, she did a weird little jig and then slipped off the stage as a band played on. At the end of the show, Simpson offered a hasty explanation.
I feel so bad my band started playing the wrong song, and I didn't know what to do, so I thought I'd do a hoedown. I'm sorry.
She later revealed that she'd been suffering from severe acid reflux and her father had insisted that she use a backing track. Afterwards, Simpson's career took a major dip. She did appear on SNL a second time the following year, but to little fanfare. After seeing more diminishing sales, Simpson has not released an album since 2008. If you've never heard of Karmin, there's a good chance their widely criticized 2012 Saturday Night Live appearance has something to do with that. The husband and wife duo of Amy and Nick Noonan originally found viral fame with a series of covers on YouTube, but on SNL, they performed 2 original compositions, and critics subsequently ripped them apart. Spin's Mark Hogan said, "This was hip-hop even Mitt Romney could enjoy, though he seems to have a little bit more personality." In the years afterwards, Karmin's albums barely charted and their career fizzled, leaving SNL viewers to wonder if they just imagined the whole thing. Appearing on the January 14, 2012 SNL, Lana Del Rey's incredibly stiff performances of her songs, Video Games, and Blue Jeans were swiftly and widely panned. As Rolling Stone put it, her shaky, slightly dead-eyed Saturday Night Live debut was treated like a national emergency, inspiring weeks of debate. The reaction on Twitter at the time was brutal. with actress Juliette Lewis saying, "Wow, watching this singer on SNL is like watching a 12-year-old in their bedroom when they're pretending to sing and perform. Hashtag sign of our times." It was so bad that the show addressed the situation the very next episode with Kristen Wiig as Del Rey.
And I failed to reach the high bar set by past guests like Bubba Sparks, the Baha Men, and Shaggy.
But this story has a happy ending as Del Rey ultimately survived what could have been a career-ending gig. In fact, her career has been flourishing.